Okay. So what I wanted to talk to you about today is what does race mean in the Bible? Okay. What's the title of this thing? Woe to them that call evil good. Because we see some people nowadays. See, unfortunately, it's now become like politically okay to be racist now in certain some circles, and then in some circles it's like completely banned. So it's part of the polarization of our society. Greater, more and more, they're splitting up the people, they're dividing the people, and they want this is all part of a plan by the satanic elites. All right, and they do this. They do this. What they do is they try to make you hate different groups of people, so that it doesn't allow us to unite against them. You know what I mean? But that's their plan. But anyway, where should we go here? Where should we start here? So anyway, so we'll start with the Bible on race, okay? Oh hey Mark, how are you, brother? God bless, man. Hey Sab, oh Sab already said hi. Hey King 10, what's up, bro? Okay, so race in the Bible. Let's start at the beginning, as we should. Okay. So if you go to Genesis 1:26, famously, we read this. And God said, oh no, Genesis 1:26, not 1:6. Sorry. Hey Jan, how are you, brother? God bless, man. Thanks for joining. And God said, let us make man in our image, after our likeness, and let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the fowl of the air, and over the cattle, and over all the earth, and over every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth. So God created man in his own image. In the image of God created he him. Male and female created he them. So this is the first indication that we have that humankind, is made in the image of God, right? And this is very important because this doesn't just apply to some people, but to all people. All human beings are made in the image of God. And that's why later on he says this. Wait, in chapter 9, after the flood, he says this. Where is it? Whoso sheddeth man's blood, by man shall his blood be shed. For in the image of God made he man. Actually, maybe I should have read this part. Surely your blood of your lives will I require, at the hand of every beast will I require it, and at the hand of man. At the hand of every man's brother will I require the life of man. So we're all brothers on this earth, you know? We're all meant to be brothers. We're all born of Adam. We're all one blood. And that's why Paul says later on, Acts 17:26, God has made man of God has made of one blood all nations of men for to dwell on all the face of the earth, and has determined the times before appointed and the bounds of their habitation. All right, this is interesting too. The bounds of their habitation. See, God, I don't think I would agree with some people, such as the person we're going to talk to later, that the mass immigration of people from the third world to the West is not something God wanted. It's not something that He approves of necessarily. You know. Hey Nathan, how are you, brother? God bless you, man. But then we could also say about that, like, why is there a West? Why is there all these countries where basically Europeans have taken over and they run those countries all over the world, right? It's not as if they stayed where they kind of had their cultural origin, right? They're all over the world too. So that's the difference. Like that's why when some people bring up this thing about race and immigration, they don't account for that aspect of it, you know. But anyway, Anyway, let me get to that later. But the point is, God has made all men of one blood. All right, one blood. We are all one blood. But it's also part of His design that we should have different sorry, different places where we stay at. So Deuteronomy 32:8, when the Most High divided to the nations their inheritance, when He separated the sons of Adam, He set the bounds of the people according to the number of the children of Israel. So he set the bounds of the people. He didn't just let them anyone go wherever they wanted. He wanted people to stay kind of where they're at, you know? Of course people can travel or whatever, but generally he wants people to stay in their lands where they're from, you know? Now, in terms of racism, what is racism? I would say the Bible condemns racism based on projects like this. It's partiality, you know? That's the problem with racism is partiality. Sorry, I'm supposed to go here. Um, so my brethren, have not the faith of our Lord Jesus Christ, the Lord of glory, with respect of persons. For if there come into your assembly a man with a gold ring and goodly apparel, and there come in also a poor man in vile raiments, and ye have respect to him that weareth the gay clothing, and say unto him, sit thou here in a good place, I say to the poor, stand thou there, or sit here under my footstool. Are ye not then partial in yourselves, and are become judges of evil thoughts? Hearken, my beloved brethren, hath not God chosen the poor of this world rich in faith and heirs of the kingdom which he has promised to them that love him? But ye have despised the poor. Do not rich men oppress you and draw you before the judgment seats? Do not they blaspheme that worthy name by the which ye are called? If ye fulfill the royal law according to the scripture, thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself, ye do well. But if ye have respect to persons, ye commit sin, and are convinced of the law as transgressors. Oh, hey, Nathan. God bless, bro. Thanks for joining, man. Hey, Glory. God bless, brother. Um, so we can see that the Bible doesn't want us to respect persons or respect. We shouldn't discriminate against people based on what their wealth, their status, or their race. Okay, because once again, He's made all men of one blood. But Israel was chosen for a mission, not because they're racially superior, but because look at this. Deuteronomy 7 says, the Lord did not set his love upon you, nor choose you because you were more in number than any people, for ye were the fewest of all people. But because the Lord loved you, and because he would keep the oath which he had sworn unto your fathers, hath the Lord brought you out with a mighty hand and redeemed you out of the house of bondmen from the hand of the Pharaoh, king of Egypt. And why did God bring them out? Why did God make them a nation, right? Let me show you that. Oh, it's Exodus, sorry. So this is why God brought them out. Now therefore, if you will obey my voice indeed and keep my covenants, then ye shall be a peculiar treasure unto me above all people, for all the earth is mine. And ye shall be unto me a kingdom of priests and an holy nation. These are the words which thou shalt speak unto the children of Israel. That's what God was saying to Moses to say to the people. Okay? You should be a kingdom of priests and a holy nation. And now Peter has brought that over to the church now. Oh wait, I got the wrong. Sorry. I didn't have time to do all my quote my Bible references and stuff. Um where is it, man? Hang on. Sorry, guys. Um, Oh, it's 1 Peter 2:9. Wow, I'm so dumb. Wow, man, what's my problem? Anyway, look what he says. But ye are a chosen generation, a royal priesthood, and holy nation, a peculiar people, that ye should show forth the praises of him who has called you out of darkness into his marvelous light. So now the thing that Israel was supposed to do, now the church is supposed to do that. We are supposed to be this royal priesthood of God, right? A holy nation, a peculiar people. That's our mission here. And it's a mission to all people, to all men, because he has made all men of one blood, right? So we don't look at race in the Christian faith. We don't look at those things. We look at it. I mean, it's not that we ignore it. We're not naive like that, right? But at the same time, we don't use it as a way to put people down or to make people feel like they're less than us, because they're not. They're obviously just, we're all of one blood, right? That's the idea. As we know, Romans 10:12. For there is no difference between the Jew and the Greek, for the same Lord over all is rich unto all that call upon him. So the Lord is rich unto all that call upon him, not to those who call upon other things. He's not rich towards them. If you call on politics, if you call on money, if you call on your racial superiority, these things are not, or your imagined racial superiority. If you call on those things, God is not going to be rich toward you. He's rich toward those that call upon him. All right. We got, hey Steven, what's up, bro? Yeah, we are gonna be weird to the world, right? That's the unfortunate thing. We are peculiar, set apart. Not weird to God though, amen. But weird to the world, yeah, definitely. The world's always gonna find Christians to be weird, to be foolish. Amen. Yeah. Because the wisdom of God is foolishness to men. That's just how it is. But God transcends all those things, right? That's the thing about it. Now, anyway, the reason why I made this video is because I got in this fight with this other YouTuber. All right. This guy, hang on, let me just, maybe I have it open. Oh, yeah, I do. Okay. Now, this guy, Critical Eye MMA, right? I don't know. He was just an MMA YouTuber. So I used to listen to some of his videos or whatever. Sometimes because I like MMA sometimes. So I was listening to some of his videos once in a while. But then one time I saw him on my video, and his videos called, or on my what do you call it, the feed or whatever, and it's like his videos called Jeepocalypse. It's just literally just like hating on Indian people, just like a bunch of videos. He made one after another, just hating on Indian people. It was all around the time when that thing came out with like Elon Musk and the Indians or whatever, right? So he just went ham on that. And I was just like, okay, that's weird. But then what happened was I would comment on his stuff, and he would leave it. We would interact. He would reply or whatever. But then whenever I called him a shill, he would just ban me. You know. One time, well, first when I was putting comments on his videos, he left it. But then when I called him a shill, he removed me and he like shadow banned me. Then later on, he had a live going on, and I just went on his live under a fake name. But it was my name, it's Mike, right? But I changed my account. And then he banned me from there again. As soon as I said shill, as soon as the word shill, because when I was just talking to them, he was talking to me. I was talking about how he's wrong on stats and stuff about race and stuff, and then he was like reacting to me. We were interacting. As soon as I said he's a shill, he banned me out of the chat. So I'm just saying, I think it's very odd that he did that. And there's other things that he did that was very weird. Oh, the other thing that he did is he removed a bunch of videos, because this is the thing. So I made my video about him. After that happened, right? Then I was talking to Nathan and somebody else about like MMA stuff. And then I thought about this guy, so I showed him the video, or showed him one of his videos, and I was making fun of him. And then, because it's dumb, his videos are dumb. And then I just I put out that video. Then he made a post about me, and he was like just saying the race stuff, race, whatever. That's all they have, you know. And then all his guys were like coming in my comment section saying all this stuff, whatever, right? But it's like after that, then I made this live. I put it out, and I tagged him. As soon as I did that, he took down a bunch of videos. He took down a bunch of videos, not the race videos, but these other videos that are more like the videos that I wanted to use against him to prove that he's using Gnosticism. Because you see, if you see my title of this video, it has the word Gnosticism there because I wanted to show that this person is full of he's full of like all this Gnostic stuff in a bunch of his, not all of it, but a bunch of his videos. So I was gonna point that out. And he took down those videos, those ones, you know? He took down the one like he made one right after I made my video, he made one reacting to me. He called it Jeepocalypse again. Another one. He's made all these videos Jeepocalypse, you know? So he made another one about me or reacting to my video. He took that down, and he took down this other one where he's talking all this Gnostic stuff. So I think this person's trying to hide. He's controlled opposition. He's a shill. He's trying to hide the fact that he's a Gnostic. And so it's going to be a little bit hard for me to prove that right now because he did take down those videos, but we'll see because I do have the transcript from the one video. So I'm going to put that transcript here in the description after this video. So you guys can check that out, or anyone if one of his viewers hopefully checks it out, then they can check it out too. But this person is clearly trying to hide who he really is. He's not trying to tell you who he really is. As you can see, his symbol is an eye, an octagon. We'll talk a little bit more about that. But the one eye symbol is obviously very, very bait in terms of Masonic occultism and stuff. So anyway, he has a bunch of arguments against Indians. This guy went. I don't know. He hates all races apparently, right? Or I don't know if he hates them or he just thinks they're inferior to white people, or that's just his language that he's using, maybe. But of all the races that he hates or hates on, he hates on my race the most, right? So he's talking all this smack about us. I just want to show you some of the stuff that he was saying and why it's wrong. Okay, so now. But the problem is that he took down the videos, so I don't even know anymore. But anyway, maybe this one will have it. But I don't know. Anyway, he has some stuff here about like, or maybe I don't know. Anyway, he was saying that Indians have like this low IQ. That's the first thing he said, right? I'm going to talk about all the things he said about Indians that are dumb, okay? But the first thing he said was that Indians have a low IQ. This is based on the work of like people such as Richard Lynn, which I'll talk to you about in a minute. But here's a list of like Indian IQ studies. Okay, it's clearly not the fact that Indians, because according to this what happened. These race realist people, right? They started making these studies and quote unquote studies about racial difference in IQ, which I'm not saying there's no racial difference in IQ. I'm not saying that, right? But what they're trying to do is like say, oh, across the world, it's basically all the poor countries have low IQs, and all the Western countries and rich countries they have higher IQs, and then the Asians have the highest IQs, and then the Jews have the really highest IQs. You know, that's the idea of it. And I think it was called The Wealth of Nations or something like that. Because that's why this guy is like A Wealth of Nations, a work of fiction, right? But if you want to look up this blog, there's a bunch of studies here. You can see that it's clearly not the case that Indians have some kind of retard level IQ. It's just dumb. It's just dumb. People say these things because they jump into these dumb ideas, you know? Now, what was the other thing he was saying? There's a bunch of dumb nonsense. These people, man, I can't believe it. So I can't believe people actually believe this stuff. You know. But it's like, all right, whatever. Oh, maybe I should show you this guy Richard Lynn. Oh, hang on. So I have this guy's study. Sorry guys, I'm so disorganized, man. I'm just terrible. Uh, okay, I gotta actually have to open this thing. Yeah, I mean, people say that. I don't know. I don't know. I think they might have the highest IQ. I just don't think IQ is that important in actual thinking and reasoning. It's more. I think IQ is like a thing that can predict whether you're gonna succeed in Western society, and I mean Western society that has been completely Jewified now. By the way, just so you understand that. And once again, it's not blaming the Jews for this. I'm not. But there's a reason why like the devil uses Jews the way he does. I'm trying to open this thing, but it's taking. Oh, okay, here it is. Okay, now should be here. Ah, yes, the intelligence of nations. Okay, this is the study this guy did. All right, now, like I mean, if you go on, we could go into this more in depth, right? But this study is utterly dumb. All right, this person like they just cherry pick data, you know. They literally, you know, for the India case, one of this like they don't have like full data for these countries, right? Like in the West, they kind of have good data, most of the countries, because they have like pretty good testing of these things across a wide set of the population, right? But in these third world countries, they don't have that, right? So this guy goes in, he's just trying to find whatever he can, and he literally used in India, he literally used one school, which was a school for the mentally high handicapped people. He used that school as part of his average for the Indian race. You know what I'm trying to say? And anyway, it's like, look, there's all these people. Look, this is the thing, man. There's people that they never been to school in that place. You know what I mean? Or in Africa or places like that. They never been to school. They just live in a jungle, man. You know? When those people, when you try to give those people an IQ test, it's not the same thing as when you give some kid who went to school since he was 4 years old, and then you know what I mean. So it's like totally, it's just ridiculous. It's ludicrous to try to test these things. And once again, let me just make this clear: IQ is not the test of intelligence. Okay, it has very many uses, but I don't think it really is. There's more. There's more elements. There's more like kind of aspects to intelligence than IQ. For instance, IQ can't like measure comprehension. It can't measure creativity and all these things, man. It's just and it's just ridiculous. It's ridiculous to try and say, oh, well, they have lower IQ, so then they're just stupid. You know what I mean? But anyway, look, there's quite a bit of data. The Indian IQ is not below average or whatever. It's pretty good actually. Indians do well when they get out of there. But the other thing is when populations are undernourished, especially as children, because that reduces your brain growth, right? Because as you're growing as a child, you need to have the right nutrition for your brain to grow. It's very sensitive to that. So if a child is malnourished, they'll probably end up as a lower IQ as an adult, you know? So that's one of the things I wanted to talk about. Anyway, I wish I could have showed you like his timestamps talking about this stuff, but unfortunately he took down the video. And then another thing he said, this is really bad. This is the thing that really got to me is he was talking about how Indians are like super like way higher rates of child sexual abuse. So it's basically saying that Indians are a bunch of like pedos. That's what he's basically saying. You know what I'm saying? Now, the reason why he said this, or the reason why he's able to kind of provide some kind of basis for this, is that in 2007, the Indian government did a study, and the study was completely ridiculous. Okay, once again, the Indian government, when they do stuff like that, they're idiots. 'Cause they literally, you know what, for instance, 2007, the Indian government did a study, and they found that the study was completely ridiculous. Okay, once again, the Indian government, when they do stuff like that, they're idiots. 'Cause they literally, you know what, for instance, 2007, the Indian government did a study, and they found that They also have this kind of like I'm telling you, the Indian government, they have this kind of like radical feminist thing going on in there inside the government that's trying to pull these things. Like they pull things like this. But anyway, this is back in 2007. The study's been completely debunked. But that study claimed, based on very little data, based on very ridiculous question and asking and stuff, and not even based on all of the abuse being sexual, right? But they said that 53% of kids in India had experienced sexual abuse. This is completely absurd, completely absurd. Okay? It is not the case. Now, I can show you that too. Hang on. This is the study you would want to look at to kind of get an update on that information if you're interested. Oh, wait. Oh, it's in the same thing. Oh, so I could just go here. Oh, sorry, that's done. Anyway, so this is a study you could look at if you wanted to think about these things and learn more about it. But even this study, so this study now they went, this is 2018. They went and took 45 different studies. It's called a meta-analysis. They're analyzing the results from all these different studies. But even these studies, they have 45 studies here, right? Only 8 of the 45 are actually using the kind of tools that they would use. Like when I say tools, I mean like they call them tools, like the tests that they would use to diagnose and to determine whether someone has experienced this kind of abuse. Because you don't just ask somebody the question, you have to ask. If you ask them in a certain way, you can get accurate data. If you ask them in other ways, you'll tend to lead them, or you'll tend to get just data that's not very useful. So that's why there's only 8 of these 45 studies used like a questionnaire or a tool that is done in a responsible way to get accurate information. But even among these, they found, like, this is the thing. So of the 45 things, they had rates as low as 4% and as high as 45%. So it's just completely ridiculous, right? But even when they really break it down, right? Like they found that it's not that crazy. It is probably a bit high. It is. But it's probably more due to the amount of people that live in the rural areas and the amount of people that are just poor and uneducated in India. Unfortunately, that's the case. So he's talking about that stuff as if Indians are a bunch of pedos. So that was the other thing I wanted to respond to. You can see this study. It's called Child Sexual Abuse in India: A Systematic Review, 2018. Okay. I guess I'm not going to be able to do the crazy takedown that I wanted to do. But anyway, another thing he started saying, this is what he did. So I'm sorry, this is kind of dumb, but in India, it's a weird thing. It is a weird thing. In India, they have these, like, you'll see this like steady drip of like stories in the press about people getting caught and getting charged with what do you call that? Bestiality. Okay. So you do see these stories in the paper. Like, so every few months you'll get like a little story, or not every few months, but they'll come around. Like, if he went back for years, just like he took this study from the other study from 2007, he'll take going back years. He'll take all these studies or all these stories from the paper, just one-off stories of some person who was doing bestiality, okay, and acting like, oh, look, these Indians, look how they're just a bunch of bestiality weirdos. But it's like, no, man. First of all, those are just singular stories out of a country of 1.4 billion people. Okay, they're not. Obviously, those things are going to happen. Secondly, he's trying to deny that happens in the West, or is he? Or he was actually trying to deny, or he's trying to act like that doesn't happen in the West, when in fact, just like everywhere, it happens. It happens everywhere. In the West, they have a whole industry of porn devoted to bestiality. And you know what? You know what I was going to say about? Like, some of the countries like Germany, I think it was Holland, and a couple of countries in Europe, right? They actually had it, like, somehow they got these laws passed where it was actually, there was like a kind of loophole where people could get away with some bestiality in those countries. And those countries became a tourist destination for bestiality weirdos. So that's like, so if you're trying to say, oh, the Indians are a bunch of sex perverts. Well, no, it's not the case. Okay, this thing happens everywhere, and that's the thing about it. That's the thing about it. That's the thing about it is that sin is the problem. It's not race. It's the problem. It's sin, and sin is everywhere, right? And that's why God doesn't differentiate because He doesn't care about what race you are. He doesn't care how tall you are. He doesn't care how beautiful you are. He doesn't care about that. He cares about your sin, and He doesn't want you to do that. And that's the problem here. The problem is sin. Now, the problem is not race. That's my point here. Okay. So anyway, whatever. Anyway, who cares about this guy, right? But the other thing now, I want to talk about the language he was using, the dehumanizing language. But unfortunately, he took down that stream too. The stream that he was reacting to my video, he took it down. The things that this guy was saying, I don't want to go through all his videos and like try to find stuff now. But I saw that video, so I could have responded, but he took it down because he knows I would just completely wreck him. You know, everything he's saying is wrong. Everything he's saying is wrong. Everything he's saying is a lie. It's the kind of lie that somebody like him who's kind of intelligent, or he claims he's kind of intelligent, kind of educated. Like the idea that he would like just find a bunch of newspaper articles from India and just try to say the whole Indian population is like that. Like that's not something that somebody who's educated and intelligent does. Somebody who knows about those things already knows that you don't have to that's not a valid way to understand those things, right? But that's why I think that's another reason why I think he's not really an honest he's not an honest teacher. He's actually trying to manipulate his audience and fill their heads with a bunch of lies and hate. So so I do actually have the transcript of those videos. So I'll tell you what he said. He said this: if you let enough of these people in, it doesn't matter how good your constitution is, your country's finished. They're not here to assimilate. They're here to bring their filth and drag us down with them. That's what he said, okay? Now, look, man, I get it. I get it. Like in the West, things are getting bad, so people are getting worried. And then you look at the third world countries, and they're like just complete disasters. And you look at your country and you see all these people coming in, and you're like, "Whoa, wait, are they the reason why everything's falling apart? Is that why?" You know what I mean? And that's what people think. And so that's why it's easy for people like this to get people who don't know very much to start hating and just being just hate rage machines. But it's not good, man. So anyway, the fact that he took these videos down shows, though. The fact that he took these videos down is absolute proof. And if he tries to say, "Oh, I didn't take the video down or whatever," well, that's just an obvious lie, because that just shows that he's not the morally superior person that he claims to be over me, because I wouldn't lie about that. He took down the videos because he didn't want it to get exposed. Um, but anyway, you don't judge an entire racial group off of the actions of a few people, and you don't take statistics and just use them irresponsibly to make arguments that aren't true. It's not right, and it's not good, especially when you're using it to stir up hate against people. But then the other thing I wanted to point out is that this guy likes this book, this stupid book. I can't believe this guy. I was making fun of him about it, and he's trying to defend it. It was so hilarious. This book is so dumb. This conspiracy book, like this book, right? Under the Sign of the Scorpion. This guy's trying to act like this is some historically reliable book, and that we should. He's recommending it to his readers and all this stuff. Excuse me. He goes, "This is the most important red pill I ever read." That's what he said. But this book is a shill book. This book is Gnosticism too. And let me show you some of that. Because Gnosticism is basically what these Freemasons are pushing. And what is Gnosticism? Well, you might ask, right? Let me show you some of these quotes and we'll talk about it. Um, so on page 23, he says talking about Jacob Frank. Is this 23 or is it? Oh, it's not even page 23. Yeah. So he starts. So this thing about Jacob Frank, right? Jacob Frank was this Jewish, like, I don't know, like a Satanist or a weirdo or something. I'm not saying these people were good or anything. I'm just saying, like, the idea that they run the world or that they're trying to take your kids or whatever, it's just stupid. Um, so Jacob Frank summed up his doctrine in his book, The Words of the Lord. He asserted that the Creator God was not the same as the one who had revealed himself to the Israelites. He believed God was evil. Frank proclaimed himself as the true Messiah. He vowed not to tell the truth, rejected every moral law, and declared that the only way to a new society was through the total destruction of the present civilization. Murder, rape, incest, and the drinking of blood were perfectly acceptable actions and frankly necessary rituals. So the thing is, what the guy's trying to do is make this idea that there's this dualistic world where the true God is hidden while the creator God is like evil, right? And that's what Frank said, but even this guy Yuri also says this. But anyway, these are not the best quotes too, sadly, because you know what? Anyway, I was gonna talk about. Anyway, you know what? I should have looked into this book more too because I didn't really look at it too much. But this book is dumb, man. These kind of books, man. Like I was looking at some of the references for this book. Sorry, I shouldn't even read you that quote because he's putting down that person, right? So that's dumb. My bad. But anyway, it's just like this book is just these conspiracy books, right? What they do is they just make a bunch of claims and they don't reference them properly, and then you have no way to confirm or deny what they're saying. And this guy's gonna say that this thing is well referenced, but if you actually look in the back of it, it's got like no references. Or sorry, it has references, but they're terrible. Like you can't find these things. Wait. So like look, yeah, like he'll put this book and you're supposed to like if you quoted the book, you're supposed to just go and check it out. You can't find the page number. You can't find how it exactly relates to what he said in this book. That's how you're supposed to reference a book, right? You're supposed to like if you say something that this book had in it, you're supposed to put the page number and put the author and the thing, publisher and everything, so they could easily find the book and look up what you said, right? You don't just put the name of the book in the back of the book and just say, "Oh, well, go find it yourself." But that's what this guy does because that's what these people do. They don't want you to actually confirm what they're trying to say. Now I had some more information about this. Anyway, my whole thing's a mess, man. My whole notes are a mess. I'm sorry, you guys. But this book is wicked, man. But actually, you know what? Let me show you that part. Sorry, guys. Anyway, I can't even find all the quotes. I'm sorry, you guys. I'm so disorganized. Wow. Everything of importance. Let me see if I can find it using this. No. Wow, this sucks, eh? Sorry, you guys. This is the worst stream. I should have prepared more for this, but I didn't. Anyway, it's somewhere around here. Anyway, this guy, and he took down the video too, right? But he's talking about this book, and he's saying that like Marx, he's talking about how Marx, this book somehow proved Marx is a Jew or something, as if nobody knew that, as if everybody didn't already know that. You know, we all knew Marx was a Jew. Nobody was hiding that. You know what I mean? And so, or maybe you might say like back in the 70s or something, not many people really knew that much. But now everybody knows. I think everybody knows, right? You guys know Marx is a Jew, right? No, I know this word search isn't working for some reason. I think it's because this thing is written all this weird way like this. All right, he's saying to do a word search. Um, But anyway, the point is, this book is dumb. This book is like a conspiracy book. They try to tell you that the Freemasons and the Jews are taking over the world, right? But the solution is not God, right? Which our solution is, but their solution is like the white man has to get rid of the Jews and or control them or something and fix up, and that's what he wants everybody to read. He wants people to read this dumb book. His poor unfortunate listeners are going to be subjected to this kind of thing, this kind of dumb reasoning. It's just ridiculous, you know? I'm not even saying like I do like the thing is I agree with a lot of the things he's saying. Like I agree that mass immigration to the West is not good. I agree that like Jews are overrepresented in power positions and in the intelligentsia. I agree these things, right? But what I don't agree with is the way he's doing it, you know? But anyway, I guess I can't find the Gnosticism quotes in this book. But anyway, you know what? I could read you some quotes from the transcript of the other video that he took down. Okay, so he took down this video called "European Politics, Censorship, False Consensus Reality, Thought Control, Perception Management." This is the title of his dumb video that he made. Okay, this is so retarded. And the thing is, right off the bat, what does he say? This is what he said right at the beginning of the video. We live in a false reality created through the control of mass media, an illusory state of how things are in the world. Perception is managed and manipulated in innumerable ways. We live in a mental prison. We live in a false reality. That's what he said later on. We live in a mental prison. We live in a false reality. But this kind of thing, the false reality, the like that kind of thing, like this idea that reality is an illusion, everything you know is a myth, and you don't know you can't even understand reality. The only way you can overcome this is through the true hidden knowledge. You know, that's what Gnosticism is. They try to tell you that reality is an illusion, and the only way to escape is through this hidden knowledge. Okay, and he's got the hidden knowledge. He's gonna tell you, "Oh, read this book and listen to me, and I'm gonna tell you all this stuff." And that's what they do. That's what they try to do. That's what this guy's. Oh, you know what he did too? Plato's cave. If you guys ever heard that thing, like Plato is another probably like part of the whole conspiracy too, right? The guy was part of those mystery religions in ancient Greece. He's not just some random actor, right? But Plato had this thing about the cave, where these people are they grow up and they live in a cave their whole life in chains, and all they can see on the wall is these shadow puppets. That's all they can see. So their whole life, all they've lived in is a cave, is completely dark, and all they see is shadow puppets. Okay? Then one guy breaks out, he gets out of this cave, he gets out, he sees the real world, and he comes back in, he tries to explain it to them, and then they don't want to know about it. They don't even care about it because or they don't even believe him really, right? Because they can't even imagine it, right? So that's the allegory of the cave. Okay? Well, he says The allegory of the cave from Plato's Republic is very relevant here. Many of us grow up seeing nothing but the shadows of cultural artifacts projected on the wall screen before us. So this is something like, I mean, I think the Gnostics use this parable or this allegory thing a little bit differently than what it really is. But they try to make you think that the world is just a shadow realm of illusions and you can't see anything, and the truth lies in this secret enlightenment, like the secret knowledge, you know. But of course, in the Bible, God's truth is openly declared to all of us, right? Actually, let me go back to the Bible a little bit. Yeah, zeitgeist. You know what? You know what? He tried to deny this, but he recommended zeitgeist. He recommended zeitgeist to his listeners. I was talking about that in my video, right? He tried to deny it, but then once again he took down that video now, so I can't even show you that, you know? But anyway, I can't even find wherever he said it. It was just like one of his listeners was talking to him on the live, and he recommended this movie. The zeitgeist is another stupid Gnostic myth. Yeah, you're right. So dumb. But anyway, in the Bible we see something different. The knowledge is not secret. It's been declared to the whole world. Okay? God, who has sundry times and in diverse manners spake in time past unto the fathers by the prophets, hath in these last days spoken unto us by his Son, whom he hath appointed heir of all things, by whom also he made the worlds. You see? And look, even what Paul was saying to those people in Greece, right? Remember, I was reading you this. God hath made of one blood all nations of men for to dwell on the face of the earth, and hath determined the times before appointed and the bounds of their habitation, that they should seek the Lord, if haply they might feel after him, and find him, though he be not far from every one of us. They should seek the Lord and find him, though he be not far from every one of us, because God's truth is right there for you to grasp it. It's right there for you to take it. It's in front of us. It's right in front of your face. Okay, so the people who try to tell you that reality is an illusion and stuff, they're trying to trick you. They're trying to make you weak. They're trying to take your strength. They're not helping you to understand the truth of the world. You know, they're trying to tell you, oh, it's all an illusion, so you can't trust your own senses. That's the trick. And then who do you trust? Do you trust this guy on the screen? That's their game, you know? You can't trust your own senses. You can't trust the news or whatever. You can't trust anything like the Bible. No, you have to trust me. I'll tell you. I'll tell you this thing. That's what they do. That's how they work it. You know? It's a cult, man. It's how they make a cult. Oh, another thing he said, you know what? Another thing he said? There are powerful interests capable of creating a cultural diorama, all right? A believable pseudo reality where big money players can make it seem as though there is majority support. So now he's trying to say that the whole society is just being kind of orchestrated by these powers, right? And you can't even like understand, you can't even understand what's going on. You have to just, you can't figure out anything. It's all just by this trap by these elites, you know. And the idea here is that there's these archons, these ruling powers that could just control everything, control your whole life and all this stuff, you know. But anyway, the point is, why would he delete the video if he's some truth teller who's just being brave and bold and speaking the truth that no one else will say, the racism or whatever that no everyone else is scared to say, right? Well, why would you take the video down? It's because you're not. He's not talking just racism or race realism or white power or whatever. Even if that was the case, I would respect that. You know, at least that's like you're taking a position. Okay, I would just disagree with you, and I would show you why I disagree with you. But this guy's not doing that. He's telling them that's what he believes, and he's actually pushing Gnosticism and Freemasonry. I want to talk to you about the symbolism this guy uses, okay? Because this is the thing. I didn't want to go straight off to say he's a shill, but he quite obviously is. And so, because as you guys know, this symbol is their symbol. We all know this, all right? And then he puts it over an octagon, right? You might say, "Oh, well, an octagon. He's an MMA guy. They have an octagon." Well, the MMA people use the octagon for a very specific reason, okay? But notice that it's like this eye is looking at the two people fighting in the octagon, okay? What that is like I'm saying to you, he wants to create hate. He wants to create division among the people. So if he could get the white guys to hate all the brown people or whatever, then that's them. That's the people in the octagon. Okay? And he and the elites that he thinks he's part of or whatever, they're the ones with the eye looking at them, looking down at us, fighting amongst ourselves. That's what this is about. That's what this symbol represents. Okay? If you can see it, if you want to see it more closely, that's what it is. The eye looking down at these guys fighting. Okay? I should even look at it. Look, even inside this thing, there's a pentagram. What kind of thing is this, dude? This guy's wicked, man. I didn't even notice that. But anyway, so he's quite obviously a shell, but I'm not even done yet with the symbolism stuff. Okay, so let me just where's my symbols thing? So you see the oh, you know what? I wonder if he still has this. Oh, he has a community post. That's what it was. Maybe I could search it. Oh, you can't search the community posts? Anyway, by the way, this story, like, you know what? If this person was killed, that's obviously a horrific tragedy. And believe me, I don't like there's nothing to be said about that. But I tend to think that these stories are staged. I don't want to limit like I don't want to lessen the tragedy that this person really did die, but these stories are often put together, you know? But look how it has this lightning bolt in the back. Lightning bolt is another one of their symbols, but I'll talk to you about that a little bit more in a sec. Let me see. Maybe I could find it here. See, look at that. Look at that, dude. Some white lady with an Indian guy on a dog. You know what I mean? This is what he's trying to do, like trying to dehumanize people and stuff. Anyway, I'm sorry guys. I'm so disorganized today. But let me show you this. Hold on, I'm gonna show you the some of his like oh maybe I could go to his videos. Like, look at this guy's like look at this guy's thumbnails, man. They're full of that symbolism too, you know? Like this one, red and blue, right? Like it's got the blue of the EU and the red on the other side, you know? Here he puts the like the Jewish star symbol there, right? And he's trying to tell you that, oh, I'm just trying to expose the fact that they're commies. But no, you're doing that because that's part of your symbolism, you know? That's what they do, man. Or he'll put this thing like he puts like Bryce Williams or Bryce what's this guy's name? Bryce Mitchell. He puts this guy in the Nazi thing to be like oh white power is cool, man. You know, I'm not even saying like I'm not trying to like put down white people or whatever, but like dude, the whole idea of Nazism is if that's a good thing. It's just ridiculous. Anyway, it's like the point is like we believe in God, you know? We don't believe in men. So if you have a problem with the society you live in, it's not because the politics or whatever. It's because they don't believe in God, they don't trust in God. And if you have a problem, it's probably because you're not trusting in God enough, you know? Ask God to help you with your problems and you will, you know? But look what he said in this other video. You know, anyway, there's too many symbols that this guy has. It's unbelievable how many symbols this guy has. Like the lightning bolt he was doing and stuff. I wonder if I can. Hang on. Sorry, you guys. This is the most disorganized stream. It sucked. I was looking forward to this, but I just I didn't have time to really do all the things I wanted to do. So I ended up like this. Yeah, I don't know. Sorry, guys. I don't even know. But if we look into these closely, you'll see what I'm talking about. Like, hang on. Oh, he took them down too? Red pill. What? See, look at this. Look at the symbolism here, right? He's got what's his name here? What's his name? Sean Strickland. He's got him with a Nazi cap, right? But the lightning bolts, man. And it's one on each side, so it's like pillars, you know? I'm just trying to show like even if you don't believe this guy's a Freemason, these symbols are wicked. Okay, this is like some Nazi stuff, right? But I'm trying to tell you that this guy's not really a Nazi. He's actually a Freemason. That's why he put these symbols like this. You know, like if you want to put the lightning bolt of the Nazis, that's not how they did it. They did it like it looks like an S. It's a SS. That's what it is, right? But this guy's putting an actual lightning bolt because he knows what it really means. He knows there's an occult meaning there. That's what he's doing, you know? Anyway, I can't even what else could we look at here? The one eye we saw. So what does the one eye symbolize? Or what does the octagon symbolize, right? So he's using the octagon here, right? So what does the octagon symbolize? And remember, this thing has this for some reason this thing has a pentagram in the middle of it. I've never seen that in a UFC octagon in my life, but he has one there. But anyway, why an octagon, right? The octagon usually or some people would say like Tex Mars and people like that. And again, Tex Mars is a shill, but I'm just pointing out that they say this stuff, right? That the octagon represents the eight-pointed star of chaos because whenever you see an octagon or a hexagon or a pentagon or anything like that, it also can be the star. It represents the star because the star of like if it's the octagon, then it's an eight-pointed star. If it's a pentagon, then it's a five-pointed star because that's the geometry of those objects. Okay, that's why the Freemasons like it because they're into geometry, sacred geometry and stuff. You know. Um, what was the verse that shows Jesus will be buried in the tomb of a rich man? I don't know. I seem to recall that, but I don't know. So anyway, so the eight pointed star represents chaos and also represents a time prison. This is from Tex Mars. And so it's often used to signify portals, control grids. That's why I think the UFC has the octagon. Because they could have made it a circle, they could have made it a ring, right? Or they could have made it a square, but they made it an octagon because the octagon represents this mind control thing, for the Freemasons, right? And you'll see it a lot in Islamic and Masonic architecture, you know? It's about containing things. It's about like keeping things in place. And also the octagon is associated with the four-dimensional cube, the so-called tesseract. Okay, because if you look at a tesseract without the with just lines, without, it's not solid, and you shine light through it, then the shadow will be an octagon. So that's why they call it that's why they associate the octagon with that. So it's probably like representing like Saturn as the ruler of this age, you know? And the idea that racial fate is locked in time or something like that, you know? But the octagon is a veiled symbol of Saturn. Anyway, so the other thing you would often do is this like Freemasonic like kind of like black and white dualism thing. You see how it's always like two sides to this thing? There'll be this side, the blue side, and this side is this side. He often does that because that's like duality, you know? So you have the Jordan Peterson, Tim Pool on one side, and then you put Netanyahu on the other side, right? That's the duality. So they like to do that stuff. This is also the duality thing, but with you when you got the one guy in the middle, that's the third pillar. The third pillar is in the middle because that's the unity of the two separate things. Okay, so they'll do that with the symbols. Um, and obviously the one eye symbol is like, let's see what the one eye symbol will it usually represents that you're submitting to this like hidden kind of overseer ruler type of thing, which is like the devil, right? So that's what it symbolizes. It symbolizes submission to that, you know? And also it can represent like occult protection and also occult domination. And and also sometimes it represents like the idea that most people only see partially, only through one eye, whereas the initiate, the one who's gone through the training of the Freemasons, they can see clearly. Okay, but you know, in the Bible, it talks about how, for example, I mean, the classic one is Zechariah 11:17. This is probably the real reason why they use this thing, this one eye thing. Woe to the idle shepherd that leaveth the flock. The sword shall be upon his arm and upon his right eye. His arm shall be clean dried up, and his right eye shall be utterly darkened. So they'll do stuff like this, you know? He'll do stuff like he'll literally do the 666 symbol. I mean, if you saw the thumbnail for this video, he does that a lot, you know? Now he kind of settled down with that stuff because he knows I'm looking. But going back to the lightning bolt thing, I'm gonna do some more stuff about this symbolism. I got this. There's another podcast. We looked at it the other day, but I didn't realize how rife with symbolism it is. But I'm gonna show you how those people are wicked too. But okay, this lightning bolts thing, right? Sorry. The lightning bolt represents obviously Luke 10:18. I beheld Satan as lightning fall from heaven. So the Nazis used it in the SS. The SS was like this elite soldier battalion. But the double bolt is a symbol of destruction and antichrist power in the occult, okay? And it's also a symbol of this Luciferian dualism, okay? Because you have the sudden enlightenment or wrath against the righteous, okay? So that's what it often will symbolize for them. So he always does all these symbols and stuff, man. It's weird, dudes. Anyway, whatever. So that's all I'm just pointing out. This guy's a Freemason shill, my opinion. You may disagree, but That's just my opinion. What was I gonna say to you though? The other thing I wanted to talk to you about was that he's this like he's got this kind of like false messiah thing for Conor McGregor. And I wish once again he took down the video that I wanted to show you, and I haven't had a chance to go through his other videos here. But I should have just stayed on his channel. Now I'm going back to it. Anyway. This guy would like Layman's talking about me again. This is so wild.
So I'm sure that's not the only case here. It's not the only case.
So what was I gonna show you? The other thing. Oh yeah, because he took down that video, right? So I can't even show you. But look at all the Conor McGregor stuff. Conor McGregor appeal. He's trying to say Conor McGregor should win president of Ireland and all this stuff. As if that's like he's like talking about Conor McGregor like he's a savior. You know? Like he's the savior of the people. You know what he said? In the video that he took down, right? He took down a video called European Politics, Censorship, False Consensus, Reality. He deleted it because he knows it was so full of Gnostic weird nonsense that he would have got booked. But then he said this in that video. There's only two kinds of people. People who know Conor McGregor is the Messiah and people who don't. That's what he said in this video, right? But that's what I'm telling you, man. The other thing the Gnostics like to do is bring in these false messiahs, okay? And that's what he's doing with this Conor McGregor thing, you know? Whether he's joking or not, I mean, I'm sure his listeners might say he's joking. Well, it's blasphemy, all right? You don't talk that way about. There's only one Messiah, and his name is Jesus Christ. His name's not Conor McGregor, you know. But that kind of thing, that kind of like, even if you're just joking, that kind of joke is not funny, and it's not. It's a sin, you know. Look at Proverbs 14:9. Fools make mock at sin. So he's joking around is something that's very real, you know. And so that's wicked. But but you can contrast it with Christ. Christ is not that like he doesn't want to save the world by becoming the president and becoming this glorious hero. He wants to save the world by getting spit upon, by getting beat up, by getting tortured to death on a cross. That's how he saved the world. You know? But these people want to tell you, oh, Conor McGregor will save Ireland and we need to vote for Conor McGregor. He's the hero and all this stuff. This is what they do, man. It's mind control, you know? Now maybe he's part of the system that's trying to set up Conor McGregor. I don't know what's going on with that, but it's weird that he said that he said Conor McGregor is like some kind of messiah, you know? But anybody who says that kind of thing, they're to be marked and avoided, of course, right? He claims he's bringing the truth to save the West or whatever, but he's really saying that we should submit to this race-based hierarchy, and that because if that's the case, if that's how you want to think of the reality, right? Then that doesn't mean that you're all the white people are equal. It doesn't mean that. It means there's certain white people that are better than other white people, and other white people need to serve them. That's how that would work. There's certain white people that are Aryans, other white people are Slavs or whatever, Italians or whatever. And that if that's how you want to think of reality, then that's how that should work. Okay, but they don't talk about that part, you know? But anyway, the point is that look, because he's talking about MMA, he's talking about how he's some tough guy, and like the people that listen to him, they look up to him because of that, right? But if you're some tough guy and white guys are the best and all this stuff, right? Then why are you being dominated by, according to him, I don't even believe this story, but according to him, white guys are dominated by Jews. They can't even say what they believe because the Jews told them what to say. And also, the Jews are bringing all these other race people in to also dominate them. So according to their view, at the same time as they are the strongest, the most dominant, the best race, they're also victims being like subjugated by Jews and other people like that. And so it's just completely ridiculous. It's actually making them into weaklings, you know? It's if people that believe that kind of mentality, you know, it just lowers your whole psychology and everything, you know? But anyway, I guess that's about all I wanted to say about that guy. I thought I had more better. I did have like anyway because I lost my document where I had all my page numbers for that thing. Anyway, whatever. So let's go back to the Bible. I'm done with that fool. I would just say like people like that are wicked. And also, oh, I should say this also to any of his listeners if they want to join, if they want to, if you're listening to this or you heard about me because I made a video about your boy and you wanna find out what's going on here. Well, what's going on is that this person's trying to tell you that you can save yourself by being strong, or that you can save Ireland by following Conor McGregor or by following white power or whatever, right? I'm here to tell you that that's not true. The truth is, there's only one man that can save you. His name is Jesus Christ. Okay? And if you believe in him, you will never die. John 3:16. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believeth in him should not perish, but have everlasting life. Amen. Jesus Christ died for your sins. Okay? It's not for you to turn around and say, oh no, we're the best and we don't have sin. Because you have sin too. Okay, white guys, like, even if you want to believe all the stories he told you about world history and the Jews and the other races or whatever, you can believe all that if you want. It still will not change the fact that white people sin, just like everybody else. Okay? And that means that because you sin, you're on your way to hell unless you believe in Jesus Christ. If you believe in him just for one moment, you will never die. But if you don't believe in him, you're going straight to hell. That's the reality, okay? So anyway, that's what I wanted to say to his listeners. But now I want to talk to you guys about a lot of the things that he's saying is kind of true, right? That's the thing. That's how these people work, right? They tell you things that are kind of true, or they intersperse their lies with the truth, so that it sounds like, oh yeah, that makes sense. And then when he tells you some dumb thing, if you're not like hip to the game, right? You'll just be like, oh, okay, yeah, okay, interesting, and then you'll start to believe them, right? But that's not how it should be. But what do I want to say here? Look, we see the West, we see what's happening, right? The West was this shining light of Christianity. That was the thing about why did the West rise to the level that it did? You know, Rome didn't do this. I mean, I understand Rome, the Greeks. I understand they're very impressive in what they accomplished. It's not like that they were some the most civilized or anything like that either, though. I mean, I get that people think that, but like you have civilizations in India and China that are thousands of years older than the Greeks or the Romans, right? So it's not as if they invented civilization or they were the only ones who got educated or anything like that. That's not what happened. But they did develop something truly special, and it was wonderful, but it was destroyed because they're pagans, because they don't have Jesus Christ. And when the Europeans became Christian, that is when their society came to the real like level that it could achieve, or not even the limit. They could have gone much further, but unfortunately their Christian faith started to fall apart. But it was the Christian faith that brought Europeans to the level that they're at now, and it's the fact that they turned away from Jesus that now things are happening the way they are. You know, for example, look at Romans 1. For the wrath of God is revealed from heaven against all ungodliness and unrighteousness of men, who hold the truth in unrighteousness. That is, Christians in the West, they know who Jesus Christ is, but they suppress that truth in their unrighteousness, in their sin, and now they're going to be judged. Now that's what's happening here. Because that which may be known of God is manifested in them, for God has showed it unto them. For the invisible things of him from the creation of the world are clearly seen, being understood by the things that are made, even his eternal power and Godhead, so that they are without excuse. Because that when they knew God, they glorified him not as God, neither were thankful, but became vain in their imaginations, and their foolish heart was darkened. Professing themselves to be wise, they became fools, and changed the glory of the uncorruptible God into an image made like to corruptible man, and to birds, and four-footed beasts, and creeping things. Wherefore God also gave them up to uncleanness after the lust of their own hearts, to dishonor their own bodies between themselves, who changed the truth of God into a lie, and worshipped and served the creature more than the Creator, who is blessed forever. Amen. For this cause God gave them up unto vile affections. For even their women did change the natural use into that which is against nature. And likewise also the men, leaving the natural use of the woman, burned in their lust one toward another, men with men, working that which is unseemly, and receiving in themselves that recompense of their error, which was meat. So you see what's happening? This is a judgment. When you see homosexuality in your society, Westerners or wherever, anywhere, it's all over the world now, it's a judgment. God is judging you for this, okay? Because you've turned against him. You've turned away from him. And now this is what's happening. It's not because like those people are weirdos. It's because God is judging you, okay? Another thing this guy or people like this will complain about is how women are taking over the feminism or whatever. Well, once again, it's a judgment. You're being judged because you've turned away from God. If you turn away from God, then you can't recognize that yes, it's supposed to be the man is the leader, the woman is helping him. That's how God made us. Okay. So if you understand God, then you can understand that, and then people can understand that. But if you don't, then no one can understand that. That's why women are trying to take over now. As for my people, children are their oppressors, and women rule over them. O my people, they which lead thee cause thee to err, and destroy the way of thy paths. So this is what's happening, man. This is a judgment. They which lead you caused you to err. And it's people like this that are causing you to err. People like this critical IMMA, or people that anyone who tries to turn you against or turn you away from Jesus Christ, who is the answer, who is the solution. Okay? But look at this too. You know, I was gonna say this. This is the name of my video, right? Woe unto them that call evil good and good evil, that put darkness for light and light for darkness, that put bitter for sweet and sweet for bitter. Woe unto them that are wise in their own eyes and prudent in their own sight. This is a perfect description of that man. Okay. And I'm not even, the thing is, that guy is not unique, right? This is the thing. So that's why I'm making this video. But it's not even like that. It's like everybody, all of us sometimes fall into this trap, you know? And so we all have to be careful that we don't do this stuff, you know? Remember who is good, who is wise. God is good, God is wise. And if you want to be good and wise, you have to follow him. And there's no other way. There's no other way. Okay? It's not Conor McGregor. It's not race realism. It's none of that stuff. It's Jesus Christ. Okay? And then, you know what? I wanted to talk to you about this too. When he talks about how his country is being invaded by foreigners, well, this is also a judgment. The Lord shall bring a nation against thee from far, from the end of the earth. As swift as the eagle flieth, a nation whose tongue thou shalt not understand. This is what happens. Now, you may say this is about the Babylonians, But these type of things keep happening, and I'm gonna show you some more about this. I believe these judgments that we see in the Old Testament are being like we're under the same kind of judgment, the same kind of system that they were. And so it's like you can see the same exact things are happening to us that are happening to them, you know? So when you have but what I was going to point out here is that national sin, there's individual sin and there's national sin. And national sin also brings a judgment. So when our nations turn against God, our nations have officially, they are atheists, they're officially secular or whatever, not atheists, but secular or whatever. So they have turned against God, right? They do not assume that God is the answer for how they should do things or how they should live. So they have turned against him. And so now they're going to be judged. And that's what's happening. But they try to blame scapegoats like, it's these immigrants or it's the women, feminism. Feminism is why I like got, I can't get a job or whatever. That's what they do, man. But anyway, I wanted to point out this thing. This is really why I think the West, what's happening to the West today, okay? Because we talked about how when the West was Christian, how they raised up, and now in this post-Christian West, now everything is degrading and falling apart. Well, this is what Isaiah wrote about the people of Israel in his day, or the people of Judah. But this is now what's happening to the West, in my opinion. Now will I sing to my well-beloved a song of my beloved touching his vineyard. My well-beloved has a vineyard in a very fruitful hill, and he fenced it, and gathered out the stones thereof, and planted it with the choicest vine, and built a tower in the midst of it, and also made a winepress therein. And he looked that it should bring forth grapes, and it brought forth wild grapes. And now, O inhabitants of Jerusalem and men of Judah, judge, I pray you, betwixt me and my vineyard. What could have been done more to my vineyard that I have not done in it? Wherefore, when I looked that it should bring forth grapes, brought it forth wild grapes. And now, go to. I will tell you what I will do to my vineyard. I will take away the hedge thereof, and it shall be eaten up, and break down the wall thereof, and it shall be trodden down. And I will lay it waste. It shall not be pruned nor digged, but there shall come up briars and thorns. I will also command the clouds that they rain no rain upon it. For the vineyard of the Lord of hosts is the house of Israel, and the men of Judah his pleasant plants. And he looked for judgment, but behold, oppression. For righteousness, but behold, a cry. So this is what I think is happening. In the same way that God, when Israel failed to bring forth the fruits that he expected them to bring forth, instead they brought forth wild grapes, as he says, right? Then he took down the hedge around it. They plant the hedge around the garden so that animals won't go in. He took down the wall around it. And so now it's not protected anymore. And the animals come and it gets eaten up and trodden down. And that's what I think is happening here today in the West, It's the spiritual rot, the lack of a faith in God has allowed us to become these degenerates now, or the society is slowly becoming degenerate, But then after this, now he talks about all these woes that are coming on them, Woe unto them to join house to house, to lay field to field, till there be no place that they may be placed alone in the midst of the earth. This is when people when they say join house to house, that means they buy a bunch of different properties and just keep them all for themselves. They hoard it so they can be all by themselves in a big land, And he's saying that those ones is woe unto them. Woe unto them. Okay? Of a truth, many houses shall be desolate, even great and fair without inhabitants. Yea, 10 acres of vineyard shall yield one bath, and the seed of an omer shall yield an ephah. Woe unto them that rise up early in the morning, that they may follow strong drink, and they'll continue until night, till wine inflame them. which is another major problem in our society. Not just alcohol anymore, obviously, but drugs. And these things lead to another judgment on the nation. Our nations don't put a stop to this. Instead, what do? They give them drugs. They give them safe spaces to take drugs, you know? And then the whole place just falls apart. So this is what happens, man. And the harp and the viol and the tabret, anyway. So there's like greed. This is greed. This is being drunken or being like, drunkenness and stuff like that. Then there's these people that scorn. Um, it's this one. Woe unto them that draw iniquity with cords of vanity and sin as if it were a cart rope. That say, let him make speed and hasten his work, that we may see it. And let the counsel of the Holy One of Israel draw nigh and come, that we may know it. So this is like they're making fun of God, right? And it's not just about them. It's like people that scorn the truth, you know? And it's critical IMMA and people like that are an example of this, you know? Instead of believing the truth that we're all human and Jesus Christ is going to judge us for our sin, they don't want to believe that. They want to believe that they're special, that they're like holy, and that it's those people are the problem. It's those other people are the problem, right? So they scorn the truth, and it's woe unto them. And then finally, you have these people that they're corrupt, you know. Woe unto them that call evil good and good evil, that put darkness for light and light for darkness, that put bitter for sweet and sweet for bitter. When you call Nazis good, when you call these people that started these wars and all these things good, right? You're not understanding. And I understand that they have a different view of history, and in their version of history, Hitler did nothing wrong and whatever. But it doesn't matter. It's like you're looking to human beings, you're looking to human armies, human and nations and stuff. You're looking to that to solve the problem of the world. You're not looking to God. And that's why they will fail every time and they will be judged every single time. Okay? So that's what I was going to say about that. And this also, like God's blessings in the West were squandered, you know? And that's why these things are coming on them now. But if you go back to 3:12 again, as for my people, children are their oppressors, and women rule over them. O my people, which lead thee, cause thee to err, and destroy the way of thy paths. So the problem here is that people look to men to lead them, and they don't look to God to lead them. Look to God to lead you. You may have some leaders in your or people of higher status in your society, and they're kind of like leaders or whatever. Don't look to them to fix your situation or fix your problems. Look to God. He's the only one that can do it. Okay? So what can I say now? I guess what could we say now to wrap it up? Romans 3:23. For all have sinned and come short of the glory of God. All have sinned. All have sinned. All human beings have sinned. We all come short. And none of us are going to have salvation or safety or security without God, without Jesus Christ. Because he died for your sins, he will forgive you if you believe in him. But salvation is not by being the strongest or by being the best race or anything like that. For by grace are you saved through faith, and that not of yourselves, it is the gift of God. Not of works, lest any man should boast. So we can't boast to say that we're good enough to be saved or we're good enough for God to save us. No, we're not. But God will still save you if you recognize his son and believe in him. But don't forget this as well. There is neither Jew nor Greek, there is neither bond nor free, there is neither male nor female, for ye are all one in Christ Jesus. So, nationalism, politics, and or even like a job or anything in this world, none of that can help you. None of that can save you. Okay? The only thing that can save you is the blood of Jesus Christ. Okay? And what I would just say is that, we look at Acts 17. Remember this too. We read a bit of this chapter already, but remember this too, anyone from Critical MMA who's here looking at this. That there was a time of ignorance that God winked at, all right? But no more. Now he commands all men everywhere to repent, because he has appointed a day in the which he will judge the worlds in righteousness by that man whom he hath ordained, whereof he hath given assurance unto all men, and that he hath raised him from the dead. So I hope that, if you guys listen to this, I hope that you'll come out of that way of thinking, because it's nothing but rage and hate and also victimhood. You're making yourself into the victim of the Jews and the minorities, or whatever you think is destroying your nations or whatever, okay? It's not true. The thing that's destroying your nations is sin and the devil. And the thing that can solve the problem is God through Jesus Christ. Okay? So I just hope that you'll take that to heart, and I hope I didn't say anything that was too prideful here today or anything like that. I was hoping to be more kind of humble about this, but I forgot. Anyway, I guess that wasn't the best presentation, but I hope that was helpful for you guys. I know you guys are already know. It's like I'm preaching to the choir here, because you guys already know. Oh, hey Chris, what up, bro? But it's like, I don't know. I'm actually kind of emotionally worked up at this point now. I feel kind of weird. I'm sorry, I'm just reading your comments. But yeah, thanks for coming along with me on this one, guys. I just wanted to show some of this stuff, and I just want to show that those things are just lies, man. And I do think that type of ideology is on the rise now, and it's not by accident. I don't think it's just happened to be that way. I think there is like a plan by the devil to kind of bring those things back to the fore, The race thing is, yeah, for real. Yeah, exactly. It's like, and even like colored people get into it too, right? I'm not saying we're innocent either, right? Because we get into this whole thing of, oh, the white guys oppressed us or whatever. I mean, I hate that stuff, but there are people that go on like that. Yeah, the MMA octagon, the baseball feels really bad too. Yeah, you're right. The diamond, right? I can see how young white people in Western countries fall for the psyop when society hates them and probably demonizes them most. Yeah, that's exactly what happens. They get, I mean, that's how you can sell it's the satanic plot, because it's so diabolical. Like everything is working toward the Jews really are the ones, who, I mean, not that they're running the world and they're just some worldwide conspiracy of Jews, but it looks like that, because that's how the devil has this thing so locked down. Because it's like, it's so easy to trick the mind that has turned, if you're not looking at God for your solution or for your answer, for your wisdom, if you're looking at something else, it's so easy to trick you, because everything, it looks bad, it looks like a way like you could turn it into more sin and hate.
Okay, 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 okay. I'm studying the Bible in Toronto. 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 Studying the Bible with Mike, Sam, Pat. These other YouTubers are just so trash. Hit the thumbs up if you wanna support. Go follow Mike as he follows the Lord. I'm studying the Bible in Toronto. 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 You better watch out, Mike's calling out the shills. If you're not free grace, you need to sit down and chill. We're not hyper grace, you know we keep it real. Eternally secure, you know that we're sealed. We don't back low, we're not workspace heretics. Mike's not in it for the money, trying to get a lick. They out here selling their souls for a couple clicks. Becoming Freemasons so they can't just get rich. I'm studying the Bible in Toronto. 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 Shout out to Mike, Sam, Pat. Check out his channel, Toronto Bible Study. Subscribe and like.